Looking for a guaranteed way to create content that resonates with your audience? Start a podcast, interview your ideal clients, and let them choose the topic of the interview. Because if your ideal clients care about the topic, there's a good chance the rest of your audience will care about it too. Learn more at sweetfishmedia.com.
You're listening to B2B Growth, a daily podcast for B2B leaders. We've interviewed names you've probably heard before, like Gary Vaynerchuk and Simon Sinek, but you've probably never heard from the majority of our guests. That's because the bulk of our interviews aren't with professional speakers and authors. Most of our guests are in the trenches leading sales and marketing teams. They're implementing strategy. They're experimenting with tactics. They're building the fastest growing B2B companies in the world. My name is James Carberry. I'm the founder of Sweetfish Media, a podcast agency for B2B brands, and I'm also one of the co-hosts of this show. When we're not interviewing sales and marketing leaders, you'll hear stories from behind the scenes of our own business. We'll share the ups and downs of our journey as we attempt to take over the world. Just kidding. Well, maybe. Let's get into the show.
Welcome back to the B2B Growth Show. I'm your host today, Logan Lyles. I am here today with Jon Robinson. He is the president at Lunar. Jon, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing really well. Jon, thanks so much for coming on the show. Excited to talk about this topic of intrapreneurship, how entrepreneurial drive both at the top and within your organization can help lead to company growth. Before we do that, I think it would be really helpful for our audience to know a little bit about you and what the team at Lunar are up to these days. So why don't we start there? Give us a little bit of context for the conversation.
Sure. Well, I am an entrepreneur myself. I started and sold a small restaurant chain that I founded in 2007. I exited that in 2011 and then joined my current company in 2012, where we built Lunar really from the ground up. It's evolved from an operations department at our parent company, launched that into a full-fledged services and product company that today is providing sales, marketing, and technology consulting and SaaS products to a variety of industries. We've really focused recently on helping out companies that have a gap between their sales, marketing, and technology departments. And we kind of step in understanding all three of those aspects and figure out how to make those three departments work well together.
Yeah. Three important departments that are really crucial to growth, but they're not always on the same page, right?
Exactly. The sales and marketing usually see technology more as an impediment to their process than something that can help them. And technology is probably the biggest advantage that they have over their competitors.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Awesome. Well, Jon, let's jump right in. Most of our listeners know, the term entrepreneurship, but we're today going to be talking about this concept of intrapreneurship. So define that for us and tell us what you think this term is all about.
So intrapreneurship it's the concept of employees who really embody an entrepreneurial spirit and takes into account really managers within a company who are promoting the idea of innovation. It was sort of bred out of the idea of entrepreneurs. It's basically merging entrepreneurs with and this internal concept. So internal entrepreneurs, intrapreneurs.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Awesome. Well, you mentioned before we got onto this interview that, you guys have been an example of this. You've had a lot of employees that were entrepreneurs, and that's kind of brought this to the forefront for you personally. Tell us a little bit about some of the examples of where you guys have seen this play out on your team.
Sure. We've got 18 employees right now, and 50% of us, 9 of our team members, have been entrepreneurs themselves. Either prior to joining Lunar or are still doing some type of freelance work themselves. And we run the gamut. We've got Tony, who is a podcast host for a Pittsburgh Steelers podcast, the Locked On Steelers podcast. We have Nice. Drew, our business development manager, who runs a sneaker review website. We've got Ryan, our Salesforce lead, who runs his Rent a Ryan program, where he creates furniture and custom plants for people. I mean, we really have a variety of different disciplines. It's not just within the skill sets that people have, that people use for their day job. But we do have some team members who operated freelance or are operating some freelance side businesses themselves or ran their own agencies prior to joining Lunar. But it really is a wide variety of different types of entrepreneurship that we see being exhibited by our team members.
Yeah. So it sounds like, those creative endeavors really, as you said, run the gamut from podcast hosting on sports to all sorts of other things. So obviously a good bit of variety there. What are some of the common themes that you see in building a team with a lot of folks that have entrepreneurial experience or just that innate entrepreneurial drive?
Well, the one thing that I always point to is that they are self-sufficient. They consistently produce high-level work, but digging deeper into that, the reason why you see that self-sufficiency and you see that high-level work produced is because at some point in their life, they have had their own money or their own income on the line, which was directly correlated to their work product. So they know what it means to work harder, produce better results, and feel that direct impact themselves. And they bring that mindset to work with them, because once you have that experience in your life of tying your income to your work product, it's not something that ever goes away. I've experienced it myself, and I see that exhibited by a lot of our team members.
I love that. I think that, the fire of entrepreneurship that forges a lot of character can be brought into, other aspects of your life or other phases of your life. And so, that definitely makes a lot of sense. Yourself being an entrepreneur, did you look to hire, other people that had entrepreneurial experience, or did this just kind of happen organically, as you guys continued to build the team, Jon?
It's not something we particularly looked for, but I think it's a byproduct of our interview process. When we're talking to people and we're looking for specific traits in people, we're not necessarily looking for the experience of having run their own business or doing freelance work. It just has evolved and naturally grown into something that we've seen be a consistent theme among our team members.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the things you guys do in your interview process that you guys have honed as you've continued to build the team that unearth some of those characteristics that usually correlate with this idea? Like you said, not necessarily specifically looking for it, but I know a lot of folks listening to this are in the midst of building a bootstrap team or trying to take their team to the next level. So any insights into how you guys have honed that interviewing process to find those traits that you're looking for that you've found to be super valuable, I think would be fantastic to share with the audience here, Jon.
I think probably the most helpful thing is to dive into specific challenges that people have had and talk about the process for overcoming those challenges, whether they were successful in overcoming them or not. We're more so interested in the process that people go through. We'll talk about their successes. We'll talk about their failures. We'll talk about what they did when they had a failure and how they overcame that failure and were able to turn it into something positive. But really the focus is on diving as deep as possible into specific situations that you let the person that you're interviewing provide the example.
So it's not necessarily that you're looking for the specific merits of what they've overcome. You're listening for how they tell the story and how they approach that challenge.
Correct. And how they addressed the process of overcoming the challenge, right? It's less so important of what the challenge actually was than what they did with the challenge. What is their process like for entering the challenge and completing the challenge and then overcoming challenges along the way? And what do they do when that challenge results in a failure or results in a success? What's the next step that comes after that? Because that's what being an entrepreneur is really about. You face challenges every single day, ones that you expect and ones that you didn't expect. And then when you resolve one challenge, you immediately are faced with another. So it's a constant iterative learning process. And especially when you're in a consulting business, right? You're dealing with your clients' challenges. So you have to be able to process what is going on. How am I going to address this issue? What's the underlying issue? and then, dive into how am I actually going to resolve this situation.
Today's growth story is about a computer software and hardware firm with a footprint of over 100,000 employees. This company was struggling to engage with partners across a variety of territories and sales focuses. So with a goal of penetrating white space accounts and growing their premier partner base, this company implemented a solution rooted in data intelligence and channel enablement to engage with over 400 partners. This resulted in 122% partner growth year over year, coupled with an MQL to SQL conversion rate of over 78%. So what was this magical solution that produced such amazing results? MRP Prelytics. MRP Prelytics is an insights-powered account-based marketing platform with streaming predictive analytics baked into its core. Integrating multi-channel ABM execution on these insights, MRP Prelytics triggers display, email, direct mail, and global inside sales in real time, helping the largest marketing departments in the world deliver the right message to their customers at just the right time. So could MRP Prelytics work for you too? There's a real good chance it could. Find out by visiting mrpfd.com or click the link in the episode description of this interview. All right, let's get back to the show.
Yeah, I think that's great advice for folks building a team. Jon, the other thing you mentioned before we got into the interview was ways that, having a team of folks that are entrepreneurial minded, have entrepreneurial experience. You mentioned, they have a drive and a passion, and they have this commitment to see the work done and drive those top line results. The other thing you alluded to is that, it brings some layers of creativity and out of the box thinking. Have you guys seen that as a common theme with some of your folks? Tell us a little bit more about, maybe that aspect of building a team, of intrapreneurship, how that can affect things as you scale your team.
Absolutely. I think what we do here at Lunar is we develop solutions. Those solutions can come in any number of forms. So when you're approached with a challenge, a client's challenge or an internal challenge, we can solve that challenge with developing a new product, implementing a current product, developing a custom solution through our consulting services. And because we have all these options at our disposal, that creativity is really important. So the products that we have been developed out of our own internal challenges. We took the idea, for instance, of distributing leads. To us, that was something that was really important. We had leads coming in for a variety of different business units, and we were looking for a solution on the market that did this out of the box. And we vetted a number of different solutions, and instead of picking something that we felt, checked a few of the boxes, we said, you know what, there really is a space in the market for us to develop our own solution to this problem, and we'll use it for ourselves. And if it works for us, maybe down the line, we'll wind up productizing it and selling it. It's exactly what we've done. 4 years ago, we created this lead routing and distribution product. And about 6 months ago, it became our first SaaS product, which is called Shuttle.
Very nice. I love that story of how, it didn't come out of, trying to take something to market. It came by, solving an internal problem first, right?
That's correct. There's a number of products that we've developed for ourselves that we're currently using that may never make it to productization out in the marketplace.
Yeah.
But when we see a challenge, we look at all the options, and if the solution is developing something custom internally, then that's what we do. And if it's using an out of the box product, then that's also a possible solution.
Yeah, I love that, Jon. Well, I love what you're sharing here in, developing a team with, an entrepreneurial drive that, has more passion and focus for their work, as well as, creativity to bring to projects, both internal as well as customer problems. Is there anything else that you'd like to add that, building a team with entrepreneurial experience, or at least this mindset, whether that comes from the top or kind of comes bottom up within your organization, anything else that you think, kind of adds to growth by building this culture of entrepreneurship, in your opinion?
I think that the most important thing for companies that are trying to cultivate this type of mindset amongst their staff, whether they have entrepreneurs or not, is to make their employees feel safe. Ideas all need to be considered as good ideas. They need to be iterated on. They need to be discussed, whether or not they're implemented, whether or not these ideas work. We need to celebrate and encourage just the idea and set aside time to discuss these ideas and really celebrate people who are constantly coming up with ideas, because 1 in 100 might work, 1 in 500 might work, or 1 in 10 might work. But if you don't have the ideas at all, you'll never even have that small percentage chance of something coming up and really being a great idea. So people really need to feel safe, not embarrassed, not ridiculed for bringing something up that doesn't work. Have team meetings, team lunches where people can bring up ideas. We do something that we call our weekly hot takes meeting, where we encourage everybody to talk, all functions participate, everyone gives a small little update about what's going on in their function. But really the idea is to open the floor up and challenge things that are going on within the team, within the organization. And no one takes anything personally. It's just about bringing up ideas and people cross-function, putting them in a room together where they can kind of bounce ideas off of each other. Whatever you do that works for you and your team and your organization, that gets people of different backgrounds and different functions working together. That's probably the most important thing that you can do. Let them feel safe, get them in a collaborative environment. And from the first day that they start at the organization, you need to drive that in as your culture. We encourage everyone to meet with everyone else on the team, learn about them personally, learn about what they do in their job, learn about the impact that they have on the organization. And that develops this culture of collaboration where people know each other personally, therefore they feel comfortable challenging each other personally and professionally.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And it couldn't be any more timely, Jon. Our leadership team at Sweetfish, we're currently reading Radical Candor as a book club among our leadership team. Sounds like that's been on your list as well, based on your comment there and the way that you're building your team.
Yep. Transparency is extremely important.
Yeah, I love that. Well, and it kind of comes full circle, as you mentioned, in what you guys do at Lunar. You help, cross functions, sales, marketing, and technology departments come together, and you guys are doing that internally as well, building that cross-functional collaboration. So this has been a phenomenal conversation, Jon. I think there are a lot of lessons to take away from the culture that you guys are building at Lunar. If anyone listening to this would like to follow up with you, ask any additional questions, or just stay connected with you, what's the best way for them to go about doing that?
So you can reach us on our website. It's www.belunar.com. That's BELUNAR.com. You can also follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on Instagram. You can follow us on LinkedIn. Personally, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, Jon Robinson 82, JONROBINSON 82.
Awesome. Well, Jon, thank you again for being on the show. This has been a great conversation.
My pleasure, Logan. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Digital marketing agencies have a tough job. You have to stay on top of the latest marketing strategies for your clients and your agency. What if there was a way you could address both at the same time? Imagine your agency putting out content with greater quality and quantity. Envision bringing your clients a turnkey solution for one of B2B marketing's fastest growing media strategies, podcasting. You know all those clients asking for your help with their account-based marketing efforts? Picture being the first to bring them the idea of content-based networking, showing them the proven strategy for breaking into their most coveted accounts. Here's the concept. Sweetfish Media is looking to work with a limited number of innovative agencies interested in a new partnership model. We produce a podcast for your agency. You introduce the power of podcasting and Sweetfish services to your clients. Everybody wins. Learn more at sweetfishpartners.com.